Once upon a time, Virginia was considered the birthplace of important constitutional principles like religious freedom and free speech. Great Virginians like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison celebrated these values. So what happened? How have we walked so far away from that original vision, and is there a roadmap back? Plus, we're going to share a heartwarming story today about adoption from one of our staff members. Welcome to Speak Up Virginia, equipping you to speak up on the life, family, and freedom issues that matter most to you. From the Family Foundation, I'm your host, Candy Cushman, and I'm joined today by our Director of Government Relations, Todd Gackey. All right, well, since it's Thanksgiving season, let's talk about what our favorite and maybe not so favorite foods are. Dr. Todd Gackey, we have with us today, our Director of Government Relations.
Yeah.
Share with us maybe the thing you look forward to that you're kind of daydreaming about the whole week before. I can't wait to have this thing. And then also share with us that thing you try to skip over and hope no one notices that you didn't put on your plate.
Yeah, I'm pretty simple when it comes to Thanksgiving meals. The turkey, mashed potatoes, corn. I'm not a big gravy person. We have family members that will drench their food with gravy, not me. I also try to skip the green bean casserole. That's not my thing.
That's my favorite with the little crunchies on top.
Oh, no, that's texture issue for me. I'm not big on the crunchies on top.
All right, well, diving right in here, I'm excited to start with what I think is a great story for the holiday season, and it's an adoption story. And I think it really is just going to warm the heart of our listeners. And this comes to us from you, Todd, from your personal life experience. And I think this is also a great way for our listeners to get to know you. You know, who is this person who directs our policy efforts at the Family Foundation every day, that testifies down at the state capitol and is working every day to develop relationships with our elected representatives, especially the new ones that just came in? That's your job here. But before you get into more of that, what you do on a day-to-day basis here at the Family Foundation, we're going to hear about how God led your family toward adoption. Now, you were telling me this really kind of started with, you know, going way back in your childhood, to your childhood experiences. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was raised by an amazing mom. I was an only child. My father passed away at a really young age. So my mom raised me, and I know that was not an easy job knowing who I am. I'm sure I gave her a lot of gray hairs. But she did it. She did a great job. And one of the things that she did was try to surround me with some godly men, some fathers. And so she did that. She put me at church, and, you know, I have friends that had some great fathers who had really set really good examples. And I think she really wanted me to become part of a larger family as I got older.
Let me back up real quick, though. So you lost your father when you were very young. Share that part of your story just for a minute.
Sure, yeah. So my father passed away on a job accident on the construction site. I was at the age of 2, and so I was the only child.
Yeah.
And so he passed away on the job site. And my family kind of came around and embraced my mom, and you know, it was a family effort in helping her raise me, and I had some great uncles and aunts who really pitched in to help. But I think there in early on, my mom faced some real, challenges as a single mom.
Yeah.
And that's why she recognized, hey, I need to make sure that my son has some godly men in his life to show him examples, and whether that's uncles and friends at church.
How do you feel about how God used your upbringing to prepare you for what was to come?
I think that God was really setting at an early age and instilling those seeds, like you mentioned, in my life, to really kind of prepare me for this idea of becoming a father to the fatherless, is what the scriptures teach us.
And then when you met Amy, you shared with her, right? I've been an only child, now I want a big family, right? That was part of it, like this desire.
And she's a family person as well.
Yeah.
That started the journey. So my seeds were being sown, and Amy came from a big family, and she enjoyed the idea of having a big family. But this, for her, it was a little bit of a different trek. Those seeds were being planted, and I think it came down to one day she was listening to Star Parker speak on the radio, and she said, listen, we have a real need in the foster care system. And if you have an extra bedroom, if you have an extra seat at the dinner table, open that up to someone outside of your family to come in and that you can love and embrace. And that's just being the heart of a Christian.
All right, now fast forward. Tell us about the first time you guys met Chris, who you would eventually adopt.
Yeah. So after we became certified foster parents, we had a number of kids kind of come into our home on respite care. And that's when you come in for the weekend to maybe it's depending on the situation, it could be the foster parents are going out of town and you're just providing them some help. And so Chris came to us and stayed with us for the weekend.
And now this was an older boy.
He was 12 years old at the time. He just turned 12. And he came and he really gelled with the kids, our three biological kids. My oldest, our son, is really good friends with him. They're almost the same age. 9 months apart.
So tell us about the moment when you guys all knew that Chris should be part of your permanent family.
Yeah, so he came for us, stayed with us for the weekend, and really we all took him back. He came on a Friday, and then we took him back Sunday evening to meet up with his foster care parents at the time. And he got out and he got into the vehicle and drove off, and we all just kind of looked at each other and said, he's supposed to be with us. It's just something you know. It's just something you feel in your heart. And we got a call a few weeks later saying they wanted to try and transition him into our home, that they felt like he was a better fit in there. We gladly said yes. He came and stayed with us, and then we began the whole process of him becoming part of our family.
Thanks for tuning in if you're just now joining us for Speak Up Virginia, brought to you by the Family Foundation. For more information about us or the topics we're addressing, you can visit familyfoundation.org. That's familyfoundation.org. All right, tell us about this special 13th birthday, because I love that story.
Yeah, so he turned 13. Bearing in mind, Chris came to us when he was 12. And so we had missed 12 years of his life. And when we had had his 13th birthday party, we said we need to recognize not just the 13th year, but all of the years in total. And so we decided to bake 13 cakes, 13 to represent each year of his life. And it was quite fun. Amy would bake them and then hide them at some people's houses, and she would do it during the day so the smell would get out and he wouldn't smell the cake, the smell of cake. And so it was a real ordeal, and it was fun. And so the day came, the birthday party came, and what we did is we had men kind of bring all of these cakes out as kind of men who were saying that they would come alongside him and help in this walk, this new journey that he had.
And I just love how instead of allowing our spiritual enemy to pass down ways that maybe Satan would try to rob us, your family has done the opposite. And what I mean by that is, your father was taken from you at an early age, but you allow God to use that in your life to give fatherhood. And then this 13th birthday, I love, is further passing down, bringing more men into Chris's life. And so it's like the opposite of a generational curse, like passing down the blessing multiple times of godly fatherhood.
Yeah.
Right? Well, Todd, I did want to get into the policy bit of things a little bit because you are our policy director, and we're about to head into an exciting time here with a new legislative session starting on January 12th, and you've got your work cut out for you. So I want to just give you a chance to talk a little bit about that. Now, we've had this huge sweep here in Virginia where we now have conservatives in the top 3 statewide offices and also in control of the House, right? I mean, I guess there's some runoffs that were going on, but for the most part, we have control of the House. So the thing is, even though that's the case, it is easy for people when they first get in office to start feeling all the political pressure, get all the voices coming in at them, and sometimes get distracted from the principles that got them elected in the first place. So you've come up with something that you hope will help us keep our eye on the ball here in Virginia and also provide a good roadmap forwards. Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. We just launched it. It's called A Vision for Virginia. The idea is to encourage Virginians to reclaim those founding principles that you're talking about, that this state was built on. When we look back at 2019, there were some elections and the whole composition of the General Assembly changed. And we've seen for the past 3 years now, as a result of that, a number of those key issues and values that we have held dear really just be wiped away. We've seen abortion expanded. We've redefining the family unit. We've passed laws that punish churches and growing government. So we felt like we really needed to get people back to looking at what are the core values that we need to base policy and base our society on. And so we came up with 10 positive principles that we feel Virginia and this government should essentially, reclaim.
And the ironic part of this is that Virginia was really the core of this, birthplace of ideas for what constitutional government looks like. Like we talked about in our opening, we've got these founding fathers here, George Washington, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, and it's amazing how far we have walked away in recent years from just this basic idea of what a free people would look like, free speech, constitutional government. So this also gives a roadmap back to that original vision. Just highlight a couple of the 10 points. So there's 10 points on this vision for Virginia, as you've called it.
Yes.
Give us a couple of the main points that kind of provide a framework for how policies should be made now.
Yeah, so you got to understand these 10 principles are very, they address different areas of our society. Now, some of them can deal with individual freedom, and the respect for human life, beginning in the mother's womb. Parents, we know that that's a major issue. Parents have the fundamental right to make the best decisions for them and their family regarding health and education. Another one is that free people must be able to live their lives according to their deeply held religious beliefs. And I'll add a fourth one, which is, let's get back to what the real role of government is, limiting the size and scope and making sure it operates within its constitutional guidelines.
Okay, so just to take one of those principles, like that last one you mentioned, limited government, how could that translate into actual policy being made?
So our hope is that legislators would follow in accordance with this principle and enact legislation that does not result in laws that intrude on individuals' lives, that maybe spending and taxation, that they're good stewards with the funding, and that they don't use those funds to grow government beyond what is constitutionally appropriate.
Or fund Planned Parenthood.
Or fund Planned Parenthood.
$6 million, whatever it was.
Or allow government to go into a person's home and inspect who they hire as a babysitter or a nanny to take care of their children. These are not the proper roles of government. And so we need to get back and reclaim what the proper role of government should be in Virginia.
And it's not to co-parent, taking back our parenting rights.
That's right. Yeah, let parents be able to make those decisions for their family and what's right for their family.
So what can people do if they want to get behind your vision for Virginia? What can they do to support what you're doing?
Well, first, they need to read the document. So we encourage you to go through and read each 10 of the principles. We put a lot of time into the wording, so go to the familyfoundation.org website. Look for the Vision for Virginia banner that'll be on the main page. You can click on it, and that's where you can download a PDF of the vision and the 10 core principles. Second, if you agree with these 10 principles, we're asking you to sign on. Give your signature. Add your name to the list of people who are going to support this vision. And then finally, I would say, tell your friends and your neighbors about this, because the more people that we can get to support this, the more there's going to be an acceptance and an embrace of these 10 principles, and we can reclaim Virginia and restore those core values that have been lost these past 3 years.
Great. Thanks for joining us for this week's Speak Up Virginia, brought to you by the Family Foundation. Visit us at familyfoundation.org. That's familyfoundation.org. See you next time. And don't forget, we are stronger when we speak together.